In this video, we're going to show you how to replace your ignition lock cylinder here, located in the dash. This fits Chrysler 300. Now we're going to disconnect your battery. We're going to go ahead and open up the trunk lid. I'm going to go ahead and lift up the spare tire cover area here, and that's going to expose our battery on the passenger side rear of the vehicle. We're going to use our 10mm wrench, and we're going to loosen the nut on our ground terminal here. Once you have that loose, we're going to spin that and disconnect it. I'm going to come on over to the positive side. We're going to do the same here. I'm going to disconnect that, set that aside. You know, on the driver's side pillar right here, we're going to go ahead and use our trim tool. Just pop that up underneath and gently pull this trim off. You're going to dislodge the clips here, set that aside. On the bottom side of the dash right here, just to the right of the hood release lever, there's a Phillips head screw. I'm going to go ahead, loosen and remove that screw. There's one more screw up on the upper left-hand side. Remove that screw. Let's go ahead and remove the lower panel here. Pop that here. There's going to be a connector right on this side here. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that. Lift up on this little tab, pop that off. Next, we want to go ahead and remove this metal plate here. There are 4 10mm bolts holding that. Slide that plate off and set it aside. Now we're going to go ahead and release this cable. There's 2 little plastic clips right here. We're going to use our needle nose pliers, pinch in here, pull up on that cable. It's going to allow us to go ahead and bring that up and pull that little barrel end out of our handle and set this aside. Now we have our upper bezel right here. We can go ahead under the edge here. Go ahead and reach on the bottom side of the trim bezel here. Pop this out. When that comes out, the trim bezel for the lock cylinder will pop out as well. Go ahead and set these aside. Now our ignition lock cylinder has 2 8mm nuts. I'm going to get loosen and remove those. With those 2 nuts removed, we have one last one on the bottom. Now on the back side of the ignition switch, we have a connector right here that has a red lock on it. So you want to go ahead and try and get something on there, whether it's a pick or something like that, to go ahead and pull that. Once that is unlocked, we go ahead and reach to the side here, press down on the tab, and want to disconnect that from the switch. Pop that off. Now we have one more electrical connector on this side of our switch unit. We're going to use our pick. Just go up on the bottom side of that. Just press in on that little spring clip right there. Pop that off. Now the only thing that we have connecting now is our cable here. In order to work with this cable and get that removed, we're going to use our Phillips head screwdriver, and we want to loosen our transmitter screw here. We're going to remove that, set that aside. Now there's this black collar around the front of the ignition switch. There's a tab on the bottom, little lock tab. We're just going to go ahead and pry up gently on that. And what's going to happen is that's going to release that, and we're going to slide the transmitter off just like so. Now once we have that transmitter off, we want to go ahead and install the key, and we want to turn that one click. Should be able to go ahead and press in on that transmitter tab and slide that cable out like so. And then we'll go ahead and remove the whole ignition switch unit. Use the ignition key, install that. I'm going to turn it one click. And there's a pin right on the back side here. You can use a pocket screwdriver or a small pick. I'm going to press in on that pin. Once that's in far enough, you can go ahead and pull that lock cylinder out. Go ahead and slide that out like so, and just set that aside. We're now going to go ahead and code the cylinder to our security key here. I'm going to go ahead and take your key, insert that all the way. I'm going to go ahead and rapidly turn this all the way around one full turn, and then all the way back counterclockwise. We'll go ahead and remove the assembly here. Now once we have that set and we have our tumbler base here, we're going to go ahead and line that up. So we've now pressed this on. We've rotated our tumbler. We have our little brass pins here that have popped in to the notch assembly on both sides. So at this point here, our cylinder is coated. Now, in installing the ignition, you want to make sure that this pin here is over right in the middle. So you're going to have this notch, you're going to have your pin, and then there's the other ramp right here. So you want to have that in the middle. That's going to help you line this up, and it's going to release the spring lock here. It might take a little bit of working of that lock cylinder to get that down and in place. Now you can see that that tab is sprung in. Go ahead and turn the key back and remove your ignition. Let's go ahead and take our security unit here, and we're going to slide this on to our ignition. It is notched on the top here, so it slides right onto the top of the ignition. And as you slide this on, there's going to be a lock tab on the bottom that'll snap into place. Install the screw on the top, and then we just snug that down. Once that screw bottoms out, that's pretty much it. You don't want to over tighten that. Let's go ahead and install our components here. We have the shift interlock cable unit right here. I have to have this ignition key put in. I'm going to go ahead and turn our key to the on position. Once that shift interlock cable is installed, we can go ahead and turn that key back to the lock position, and that'll actually lock our shift interlock cable into the unit. We're going to feed this cable around the back side and install onto the back side of the ignition unit. So when we install this unit and you press it on and it clicks on, be sure to press this red lock tab down to lock that into place. You hear it click in, and then press that lock tab in. Then we have this connector right here. This is a simple plug and play. Just pop it into place and you'll hear it lock in. Little click right there. Now it's time for us to line up our ignition and pull it up into the front side of the dash here. Okay, work that around, and we're going to get our studs to come through. Once that's in place, let's go ahead and start installing the 3 nuts to secure this in place. There's that one there on the bottom. Get the upper right. And once you get that one started there, we have the one on the bottom side here we need to get in. I'm going to put the nut in the socket right here, make it a little bit easier. Line that up, and we'll go ahead and get that started there. With all 3 of those started, let's go ahead and snug those down. Now at this point here, let's go ahead and reconnect our battery. Let's go ahead and reconnect our battery here. Install the positive terminal here. Let's go ahead and tighten that down. And once you have that good and tight, go ahead and install your ground terminal. We'll do the same for this. At that point there, we can go ahead and close down our cover here. Now at this point here, it's a safe bet that you want to go ahead and put that key in the ignition. We're going to go ahead and start up the vehicle, make sure that our security system, everything is working with the new ignition cylinder. Go ahead and start that vehicle. We started, the vehicle's staying running. Everything is good. Go ahead and shut that down, remove the key, and continue our installation process. Let's go ahead and install our lower knee board plate here. We're just going to go ahead and get the screws started here. Once they're all installed, we'll come on back and tighten them all down. Make sure those are good and snug. Install our upper dash trim bezel here. Slide that down into place. Press that on. And we can take our lock bezel right here. We're going to turn that, pop that into place. Should snap right in. We're going to install our lower dash panel here. We need to install our cable right here. I'm going to use a pair of needle nose pliers. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch out this barrel here because when you let it go, it sucks it back in. So So you want to kind of stretch this out a little bit. It's going to give you a little bit of room here to work. Going to slide this up, slide our barrel into place, and then bring that back. Snap that in like so, nice and easy. I'm going to install our connector here. Just going to simply line that up, press it in, hear that snap into place. Going to line up our clips on the bottom side of our dash. And simply push that back and into place. Now that we have our lower dash panel in place, you need to install our 2 screws. It's one that goes up on the left-hand side of our dash right here. We'll snug that down. And then we have one on the bottom, just to the right of the hood release. Get that in, snug that down. I'm going to take our trim bezel right here, and this needs to get installed inside the jamb right here.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.